welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a video on using liquid highlighters, but this is a little bit different video. I'm actually kind of shooting this out of sequence. I shot the middle and the end, and now I'm shooting the beginning. I wanted to forewarn you, I tell a story in here that's very personal, and I do get a little upset. It's not a bad thing, right? The story has a happy ending, so but I'm trying to open up a little bit more about my own personal experiences living with chronic illness, because I think that's important. The whole reason why I'm doing this channel is because I'm trying to share beauty secrets for people with chronic illnesses and other folks as well, right? I mean, everybody is welcome here. You don't have to be a Spoonie to be here, clearly, but I feel like it's important that I tell my stories. So I apologize in advance. I get a little emotional, but it's an important story to me, so I appreciate you guys tuning in and listening. Today we're going to be talking about achieving a natural look and glow by using a liquid highlighter alongside foundation. I'm going to do two different looks. I'm going to do one where the liquid highlighter is applied directly to the face, and another one where the highlighter is mixed in with the foundation, just so that you can see what they both look like. So you might be asking yourself, why would I even bother? This is a natural question. In my opinion, one of the biggest problems that Spoonies run into because of all of our treatment and our illnesses is that we tend to lose radiance. Now, skincare goes a long way towards restoring that. Like I talked about in my last video, my post-infusion treatment, I do a lot of things to help maintain my skin during treatment. But I still have days where I just don't feel good, and not only does my complexion kind of look a little more sallow and I get bags under my eyes, but I lose some of my natural radiance. So in order to combat this, liquid highlighters are a wonderful tool that you can use. And this is for anybody, not just Spoonies. I also find that when you're more radiant looking, you have more of a glow, you tend to look younger. I am not a fan of matte foundation and matte coverage. Just in general, I find that it tends to settle into wrinkles, and over the course of the day, it grows cakey, and it's going to age you up. Now, if you have oily skin, and this is an ongoing problem for you, then that's a different matter. Like a matte foundation might be a better choice for you because it's going to be less likely to dry out during the day if your skin is super oily. But the majority of the Spoonies out there that I know do not have a problem with oily skin. They actually have a problem on the opposite end of the spectrum of being too dry. So they're already without some of that natural radiance. And then if you put a matte foundation on top of that, it's really not a good look, in my opinion. So, all right, I'm going to be using two different products today. One that is a liquid highlighter that comes in a jar. This is by Wet n Wild. It's called Hello Halo Mega Glow. You can get this at Target, drugstores, very inexpensive. One of the things that I've not actually addressed yet on the channel is my reason for focusing on a lot of products that tend to be less expensive. I do use some products that are on the higher end of the spectrum, but because I'm making a lot of these videos with my fellow chronic illness folks in mind, I know that money can be a problem. Staying healthy is insanely expensive. My treatments cost now close to $3,000 a pop. That's with insurance. I am incredibly lucky that I got into a medical study because my disease is very aggressive, and that's rare for someone in my age bracket, even though I am in my 40s. So I'm lucky that I get to be a lab rat, and the study covers a large chunk of what the insurance company will not pay. But I know most of you out there are not as fortunate as I am. And so, like, just getting the medication that you need to be able to even get out of bed in the morning costs an arm and a leg. And then if you're having to spend money on products to look better, like that's a whole other expense. So I'm choosing to use a lot of products, and these are products that I use in my day-to-day life. I'm not just like going to the drugstore and picking stuff out for videos. These are things that I legitimately use. But I'm focusing more on products that are on the lower end of the spectrum. If you want to see products that are on the higher end of the spectrum, I'm happy to do that. If you could just put it in the comment box down below. I have no problems using high-end products if they're good products. I don't believe in using an expensive product just for the sake of using it. I mean, it has to actually work, but that's why so many of my choices thus far have been on the lower end of the spectrum. All right, so the other product that I'm going to use today is this VDL Compact. It's a cushion compact. I showed it in my last video. I said that I take it with me every time I go to the doctor, and that there was a little bit of a story there. And I'm going to tell the story, and hopefully I will get through it without getting too emotional. I apologize if this is not what you tuned in for, but I'm trying to be honest. My therapist has really encouraged me to start sharing some things that I have opted to keep to myself because she thinks it's healthier, and I'm hopeful that there are other people out there like me, and this will help them as well. So a couple years ago, this was like right before Christmas, I went in for what I thought was like a routine checkup. The doctor had called and said I needed to come in and give more blood, which they do blood work on me pretty frequently, so I didn't think anything of it. But when I went in, they told me that I had gone into liver failure from treatment, and it was bad. It was really bad. It was bad in a way that I have only ever talked about with my therapist. This is the first time I've ever articulated in any way how bad it was. I was dying. Like, it didn't look good. The doctor was pretty, I mean, my doctor was very positive, but it wasn't good. So she told me that they were going to take me off of everything, and I had to come back in a week, and they were going to take more blood and take a look at my numbers after a week of me having gone off of everything. And I had to do some dietary changes as well to try to help with kickstarting my liver into healing. And then at the end of the week, when they got my blood work back a second time, we'd start talking about what my options were going to be. So I am sitting in my car. It's the middle of the day. I'm in the parking lot of the doctor's office, crying. And I don't want to call my husband because he's at work, and I know that he'll just want to stop and come home. And I had to go back to work. I had a class to teach, and I couldn't cancel. So I didn't have much, like, I just had to go back to work. And I thought I can have this conversation with him when we're both home. And plus, I'm trying to decide what exactly I want to tell him. I know those of you out there that suffer from chronic illnesses understand what a delicate balance it is to manage your own illness, but then also have to manage the people in your life who love you and are upset and worried about you, and how sometimes you can't worry about them and you at the same time. Like, it's too much. Even though they mean well, even though they love you. And I decided, right or wrong, that I would tell him that I had gone into liver failure, but I would not tell him how bad it was. Close to dying I was, until I knew more, because I thought, maybe I'll go back in a week and my numbers will be better, or, who knows what's going to happen, right? And I just thought, I'm going to take this week. And you're running up into Christmas, like, it was end of November, right? Holiday season. This is a little bad timing. So I'm in my car, and I'm kind of crying, and I'm thinking I gotta clean up my face to go back to work. And I get into my purse to get out my travel compact it's like a little travel foundation compact. And I realized that when I threw stuff into my purse that morning, I grabbed the wrong one. I grabbed my highlighter compact. I didn't actually grab my foundation compact. And I kind of lose my shit. I just start yelling. Like, so I'm crying and I'm yelling because what good is a highlighter going to do me, right? My eyes are like swollen and puffy and I'm all blotchy and I'm thinking I'm going to go to work and people are going to ask me what's wrong and I'm going to have to like lie or put them off, and I don't want to do that. I'm already like upset and exhausted, and I just start yelling at the universe. And I'm basically like, this is great, you know, you tell me I'm dying, and then, you know, I have the wrong freaking compact. It's not actually the word I used, but you can fill in the blank. And I'm like, you know what? You're just trying to tell me that it's all just going to be shit, right? That's what you're trying to tell me, universe. I get it, right? And I'm yelling and I say, all right, universe, what else do you want to tell me? I'm listening. I remember this so clearly. And I pick up my purse, which had been sitting in my lap, and I go to throw it into the passenger seat. And as I'm flinging it, it hits the radio, and the radio clicks on. And there's like a second and a half of dead airspace. And then Don't Fear the Reaper comes on. And I'm just staring at the radio, kind of gobsmacked. And I'm laughing. Like, I just start laughing, and I'm like laughing, and I'm crying. That's still my reaction. It's been like 2 years, and that's still kind of my reaction, is to laugh and cry. And I'm sitting there holding this completely unhelpful compact, listening to Don't Fear the Reaper. And I just thought, okay. Okay, universe. We won't fear the Reaper. And as it turned out, I got better. I'm something of an outlier. Within 2 months, with medical assistance and a lot of luck, my liver was back to normal. It was a huge relief. It was some of the hardest 2 months of my life, in part because it was scary, of course. And yeah. So I take this with me every time I go to the doctor so that I remember that moment. I remember that moment when I was so alone. And I know we're always alone, right? We're always alone in our illness. No matter how many people we have in our lives that love us and support us and are good to us, at the end of the day, we are alone. We are alone with our sickness, and no one can shoulder that burden for us or carry it for us. We have to carry it ourselves. So I think about that moment when I was the most alone I have ever been in my whole life. And the universe told me not to fear the Reaper. And I know my disease is going to take me one day. I know that. But that's okay, right? It is what it is. And in the meantime, and in between time, I'm not going to fear the Reaper. Sorry. Really hoping I could get through this without, like, being super emotional. Okay, my therapist is going to give me a freaking gold star for this one. Alrighty. Now, let's get to the good stuff, alright? Let's get to actually, like, putting on makeup and doing something fun and not being super depressed. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. I went and rinsed my face off so that I wouldn't look so awful and blotchy. If you've made it this far, thank you. I appreciate you indulging me, letting me tell my story. So, let's do the fun stuff now. Okay, I'm going to start off with the VDL compact. So I have got my compact, I have got the it's not actually a foundation, it's a BB cream. I like to use a BB cream in the summertime because it's a little bit lighter than foundation. I am a huge fan. This is the Misa, M-I-S-S-H-A, I guess it's Misha. It's the Perfect Cover BB cream. Sorry, the lights are kind of making it hard to see. The one drawback to this particular BB cream, like a lot of BB creams because it is Korean, is that it doesn't have a very large shade range. So if you're anything other than Caucasian, they won't have anything for you, unfortunately. Or Caucasian or Asian, I should say. But there are other foundations out there that I highly recommend that aren't very expensive. Wet n Wild's Photo Focus has a fairly good shade range and it's inexpensive, it's easy to access, so that would be one that I would recommend on the more low end of the spectrum for foundations. Okay, so I've got my compact, I have my foundation, BB cream, and then I've got a wet blending sponge. I'm going to do one side of my face with the stuff under it and then another one with it mixed. Okay. Got way too much product, but that's okay. So I just fill up push the little thing and the stuff comes out and then load it up. Okay. Okay, I'm going to give this just a second to dry down. Both of these liquid highlighters have a slight violet iridescence to them, and a lot of folks are a little frightened of it, especially when you look at it, like both of them kind of look white in the bottle or in the container. They are not in fact white, it's just the way the iridescent pigments, the pearlized pigments, look when they're all together like this. This is an incredibly flattering shade for any skin type. The sort of bluish purple color works because all of us, regardless of our racial orientation, have blue blood running through our veins, and that gives everybody a very slight blue undertone. Now, some people have warmer skin versus cooler skin, but at the heart of it, we all do have some blue in our skin, and so this kind of purplish blue color actually works really well. So while it's not like a color correcting color, it's not, you know, canceling out redness or anything like that. It does work beautifully on any skin tone. And if I had to pick a liquid highlighter color to recommend for everyone, it would be this sort of white with a purple iridescence to it. Okay, I'm gonna pick up some foundation on my sponge. I like to put my foundation on my hand when it's clean, rather than dotting it on my face. I feel like I have more control on the application when I do it this way. So I'm gonna one side of my face here. Okay, so this side is done. As you can see, the glow still comes through, right? Even with the BB cream on top of it. Now, the nice thing about doing it this way with the highlighter underneath the foundation of the BB cream is that you can always put more if you wanted to, like BB cream or foundation on top if you felt like it was too much, right? It's gonna settle out. I mean, clearly I'm under lights, so it's gonna reflect a lot more. I might, when I'm all done, change the light over to like a more natural yellow light so you can see. Okay, now on to using the liquid. So for the liquid, what I do is, and this has got this like kind of weird, it's a doe foot applicator, which I like this product, but I really do not know what Wet n Wild was thinking when they put this applicator in it, because it's kind of like, who's gonna, I mean, look at the size of this thing. Like, I don't know, Wet n Wild, what were you thinking, really? I'm just gonna take the doe foot applicator and transfer some onto my hand. I'm actually going to pick up a little bit more. When I do this, I normally do 45% highlighter to the rest being foundation. This is a great trick if you have a foundation that you feel like is a little too heavy or a little too matte, gives you too much coverage. This is a great way to sheer it out. You can also do the same trick using a serum, so you can mix the foundation in with a serum and it'll thin out the foundation and give you a little bit lighter application. If you're going to do that, especially with a serum, test it. Don't just do it and like wear it out for the night or whatever. Like, put it on in a day when you're not really going anywhere and test it to make sure that the foundation doesn't break down. Every once in a while there's some weird interaction between like the foundation and the serums, and you'll get kind of patchy places where it breaks down. Okay. All right, so I've put my BB cream in and I'm just gonna mix them together. Use the other side of my sponge to pick it up. Okay, here we go. So this side with the liquid highlighter is a lot brighter, right? There's a lot more coming forward. And these two are almost identical in color. Let me put them, this is the VDL. So there's the VDL. Let me do the Wet n Wild right by it. There's a little more pink in the Wet n Wild, just a tiny bit, than in the VDL, but they're very, very close. But this side of my face, I don't know if you can tell a difference. Like I said, give me a second, I'm going to change the lights. Here, let's do that right now. Hold on, I can do this right. All right, so this is a warm light, like more like sunlight, right? So this is the VDL side. I've got a glow, but it's not super blinding, like from every angle. This is the Wet n Wild side. Hopefully you can tell a difference. You can get my light back to, there we go. Okay. So both of these have their uses, right? The VDL, if you put it underneath, and you can do like I did with the VDL with the Wet n Wild, right? If you were going to put this on underneath, use a wet blending sponge when you go to put on your foundation, switch out your blending sponge or wash it really, really well, just so that you're not putting more product on top with the foundation, right? You could use either of these under foundation. The VDL is much harder to mix into the foundation just by nature of what it is. I mean, I could pump a bunch into the bottom and like scoop it out with my finger if I really was inclined to, but given that I already have a liquid highlighter, I don't really need to. Personally, I really like the look of the VDL side for day to day. So if I feel like I'm looking pretty bleh, but I don't want to look like I'm wearing highlighter that's just like sitting on top of my cheekbones and my nose and whatnot, I will use the VDL. Now, if, like I said, if I have a foundation that I feel like is a little too heavy, a little too cakey, and I want it to lighten up a bit, like have a little bit more of a glow to it, then that is really when I turn to the liquid. So they both have their uses. It's a very different look though, I think. As it's drying down, right, I feel like you can see more of the BB cream foundation color on this side than you can on this side. It's hard for me to see in the monitor since I only have one monitor. I'm having to like side-eye myself. Okay, so there you go. Very simple to do. Wonderful to get a nice, like, healthy glow when you don't actually have a healthy glow and skincare isn't just like cutting it. All right, so that's about it for me today. I appreciate you guys tuning in and listening to my little story and being patient with that. I hope you found this helpful, both the makeup and the story. I feel like I'm trying to walk this line between being entertaining and useful, but also sort of sharing my own personal experiences for the other Spoonies out there, because I think it's important that we share our experiences with each other, because even though we are very alone with our illnesses, we can be alone together, I guess. So thank you, and I hope everybody is happy, healthy, well-rested, and remembering that self-care is the most important care. I'll see you guys the next time. Bye.